Hello and welcome. In this video, let's understand how we can execute SQL functions using Dapper. For this demo, I have created two functions. First function is a scalar type function. I have named it get highest earner by department. Basically, this function will take department name as an input and it will return the employee ID of the employee who is earning the most in that department. For example, if I see this employee table, and if I see the IT department here, so I have two employees here who are working in IT department, employee ID 3 and employee ID 7. And from these two, employee ID 7, that is Christopher Wilson, is the one who is earning the most. So when I will be executing this function, let's say I will be executing this function by passing the department name as IT, I will be getting the employee ID as 7 because employee ID 7 is the one who is earning most in the IT department. Similarly, if I execute my function with sales as my parameter, I will get employee ID 9. Okay. So this is our scalar value function because it is returning a single value. Now let's go to Visual Studio and try to execute this function using Dapper. So I have opened up my Visual Studio and here I have created a connection using the connection string. Now, the first step is to prepare our SQL query. And executing SQL function is very much similar as to execute the queries in SQL. Let me show you how. If you see here, when we are executing this function, we are using the select keyword and passing the parameter here. So we need to follow the same syntax in Dapper also. So let's copy this line and create an SQL query string here. And instead of passing the IT like this, I will be passing that as a parameter. So let me say department name. Once that is done, now let's create dynamic parameters and pass down this department name. So I have created an instance of dynamic parameters and I have passed down that value as IT. Now let's execute this query. So I have used the execute scalar method and I'm using a generic type. So I have passed down the type here as integer because I will be expecting an employee ID in the response. And I'm passing the first parameter is the SQL query. Once we have written the result, let's print that using console.writeLine. Right. And execute this program. As expected, we are returning the employee ID 7 here, and if I change my employee ID here to, let's say, sales and rerun the program, I will get the employee ID as 9. So our program is working as expected, and this is how you can execute scalar value functions using Dapper. Now the next type of functions that we have is table valued function. Basically, instead of returning a single value, a table value function will return a set of rows. Here, when I was executing this scalar value function, I was getting one result, right? But let's look at this table value function. This is again taking the department name as the input parameter, and it will be returning all the employees who are working in that particular department. And it will return the employee ID, full name of the employee, that is nothing but the combination of first name and the last name separated by a single space, and the third column will be the salary. All right, so I'm getting all the data from that table and I am filtering the data based on the department name that we are getting here, and based on this parameter I will be fetching the data and inserting it into my data table and finally returning from that function. Right, if I execute my function, let's say I will be passing marketing as my department name and execute this, I am getting 3 employees and I'm getting all the related data also, that is employee ID, full name and salary. If I change my department here to, let's say, IT department, and execute it here, I will be getting those two employees who are working in the IT department. Now, let's again go back to Visual Studio and try to execute this table value function using Dapper. Again, we need to follow the same syntax which is given here. Again, this is similar to how we were executing the SQL queries. So I will be copying this and I will be pasting it here, and I will change it to the department name parameter. Right. Once that is done, let's create an instance of dynamic parameters. And pass down the value for the department name. And finally, let's execute this SQL query using the query method. So I have executed this query using the query method, and this time I'm not using the generic method. I will be using the non-generic method, and I will be getting the employees result in the employees variable. Now let's iterate through these employees and print out the result using console.writeLine. So for that, we can use a for each loop. Okay, so I am using the string interpolation and I am printing the ID, full name, and the salary of the employees that we have received. Let's run the program and test it out. So the program is running and I can see I am getting two employees here, and I'm also getting the ID, their full name, and the salary that they are earning. Now let's change the parameter to something else. Let's say marketing, and run the application again. This time I'm getting all the employees who are working in the marketing department. So our program is working as expected. And this is how you can execute the SQL functions using Dapper.